Hey guys, got another video here. First off, I'm going to clarify the unit disproof at the beginning of my last video. And then I'm going to finish up invalidating all symbols, shapes, measurements, mathematics, and some classical theories as well. Right now I'm walking through downtown Chico, my hometown. So, in the beginning of my last video, we could see that I was trying to disprove units, and I did this by taking the definition of units, which is an increment of measurement, and replacing measurement in that definition with its definition being a quantity of units. I then replaced units in the increment definition with a unit definition, resulting in an increment of quantities of increment of quantities of increments of quantities of increment of quantities. You see what I'm saying? So it never stops. Therefore, there's no bottom line. And I would like to also share the second law of thermodynamics with you. It is the general tendency for mass and energy to dissociate and decay in the natural universe. And if you apply this to units, you see that they fall apart. So the measurements that were taken to prove all the founding math laws of algebra and geometry and calculus and all major fields were said to have measurements that were constant. But the materials that they used to take these so-called constant measurements were not constant at all. They were slowly decaying according to the second law of thermodynamics, which says that everything decays. And just to strengthen this disproof, I'll give you an example, and I'll make sure that you understand that we can't measure decay rate to incorporate it in the calculations they used. My example is going to be the proof that a circle has a constant radius, and that a radius which is held to a single point creates a circle if it is rotated 360 degrees or 2 pi radians all the way around. So if they took a stick, say the ancient Egyptians, who wanted to prove that circles had a constant radius, took a stick and rotated it around a point 360 degrees and created a circle, they would be very validated. And if they wanted to make a circle and then figure out how, then they could just take a stick and then rotate it and be like, oh, okay, there's a circle. So you have this dual validation. You have circles are created with constant radii, which rotate around a single point, and a single point with a constant radii that rotates creates a circle. Seems to lock it into place pretty nicely, doesn't it? Well, now let's consider the second law of thermodynamics, which would actually make the circle a spiral. It'd make it constantly spiral inward as the stick decays and falls apart. Good luck finding a substance that doesn't decay and fall apart in the natural universe. On top of that, let's try and say that we could incorporate the decay rate of your material, of your utility, of your unit, of your stick, of your ruler, your whatever that you use for the radius that is physically existent in the calculation. You will not be able to, because you won't be able to measure the decay rate against anything that is constant. Or if you also try to, you won't be able to measure it against something that decays at the same rate. You would just have a sort of dual validation twice over. You'd have something which is redundant, saying the stick stays the same length because the other stick fell apart at the same rate. So if you want to take that, you just disproved all of the basic math laws that underlie all latter laws of mathematics. Invalidating all mathematics. Everything needs to go back to the drawing board. As to how you could do this, I do not know. Another thing to consider, if the universe is expanding and all the mass and energy supposedly stay the same, I don't know if we can prove that, then you have a shrinking volume constantly. The volume's constantly shrinking. Or is it? Or is the universe shrinking back every now and then? I don't know. It could be oscillating up and down like a wave that's exploding and caving back in on itself constantly, and it could have an outer perimeter that we can't interact with. Or maybe we can. Maybe there is a way to get out there. Maybe spiritual energy travels faster than light or something. Maybe we could touch it with spiritual energy. I don't know. Just an interesting little thing to give you some hope. Okay, so now that I just proved that all basic math constructions are thrown out. This is a deck house. I don't know. It's like a big part in history or something. I don't know. Riley's up there. That's where I'm walking. Right down Ivy. Disproving this stuff. One of my favorite streets in Chico. You have, now that I've disproven this stuff, I'm going to go on and I'm going to hit up some symbols. Language. If you try to measure a line in a shape which is comprising a letter, good luck with that. Because units don't exist anymore. I just disproved them. Our classical definition doesn't make sense whatsoever, nor can we find something which fits the qualities of a unit. And I can rip units down further. I'll do that in another video. I'll just rip units down as hard as I can. So, if you want to describe a letter, you need to describe it as shapes, basically, because, you know, an O is a circle, an H is two lines with another line. And if you were to try to measure those lines, you would have a measuring device. But let's just think about this. If all units decay and dissociate and can't be measured, then you have letters which can't be measured, which makes them illegible. Units don't exist, measurements don't exist, shapes don't exist, letters don't exist. All language is illegible. Now, our metaphysical perception of time makes it so that we don't see the letters shrinking away into space as the entire universe grows, because we shrink away with it. On top of that, our metaphysical perception of time doesn't allow us to see the ink falling apart. To something with a much faster rate of seeing time, you would have the letters being drawn onto the Constitution falling apart as soon as they were placed down. But we take so long to see stuff, or we see things happen so slowly, rather, that it sticks. It manages to stay. Now the paper decays as well. The paper's falling apart as well. It's falling apart at a rate that we can't measure, because time is measured with units that don't work anymore. Now, if you want to take all of the words that the Constitution is comprised of, and